Hello again. Well, I was at the grocery store this morning looking for some inspiration on what I was going to do for my next show, and I came across a prime rib on sale for only, I think, $5.99 a pound. Not too bad. This is about 5 pounds or so, and I'm going to show you how to dry age your meat. If you've never done this before, you're going to be totally surprised at how well this technique works. So all I'm going to do is take a half sheet pan with a little rack in it. I'm going to take my prime rib. This isn't really prime rib. You know, there's 3 basic grades of beef, right? USDA grading. I think it's what? Select, choice, and prime. Well, this really isn't a prime rib, but it sounds better than saying choice rib, right? Anyway, I'm going to set it right down there on the rack, and then stick it in the back of the refrigerator for about a week to dry age. We'll talk about that a little bit more later. So, just find a spot in the back of the refrigerator where it's going to be out of the way. Oh, there we go. And forget about it for about a week or so. Well, what dry aging does is 2 things. It takes a lot of moisture out of the meat, so that beefy flavor is more concentrated. And it also causes the enzymes in the meat to break down the connective tissue and makes the meat a lot more tender. Now, some of you are probably saying, hey, wait a minute, I thought this was supposed to be an Alaskan show. Yeah, you're right. Trying to be a little creative. So, what I did do was picked up a bag of these really nice grown in Alaska potatoes to accompany my choice rib, prime rib thing. Alrighty? So we'll pull that baby out of the refrigerator here in another week or so and show you how we're going to prepare it. Okay, you saw me put that roast in the refrigerator a week ago, and let's see how it's doing. Oh, yummy. Okay, I'm going to take it out and set it on the counter and let it come to, let's see, room temperature for about an hour or so, and then we'll do some more work on it. But it has dry aged for a week now. You can see it's pretty dried out on the outside, but we'll be trimming that off, so don't worry about it. Alrighty? Alright, remember last week when I brought this roast home from the store? It weighed 5.5 pounds. Well, in the week of dry aging in the refrigerator, I just finished weighing it, and it's lost a full 8 ounces. That's half a pound. To give you an idea how much half a pound of moisture is, that's how much water weighs right there, about a half a pound. So what we're going to do now, we've let this come to room temperature, but you can see that it's pretty dried out on the exposed edges and whatnot. So I'm going to take a sharp knife and trim some of that off. This is a jerky knife I had bought a long time ago when I used to make a lot of moose jerky. But its long, flexible, sharp blade really helps do this job. So we're going to trim some of this off, all this dry stuff, because it's not very appetizing. Not a big deal. You know, I've cooked this before just like this with the dry stuff on there, but for the sake of the show, I will shave some of it off. Not all. Not a big deal. It all depends on your personal preference. So, here we go. Make it look nice and pretty. Be very careful when you do this because it is pretty tough, as you can see. But being an experienced knife handler, piece of cake, right? Alright. That's looking pretty good. Looking almost like how I got it from the store. You can tell how this is not a very economical process, and that's why you don't see a whole lot of restaurants offering dry aged beef. Just some of your better ones. Alright, so get rid of all that. I'm not going to deal with the top part of it. It's all fat anyway, and so it'll render down as I cook it. Take care of this side. All right, that's good enough for me. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to season this thing with some olive oil. These come in real handy, by the way, these little squirt bottles. I've got 3 different oils that I use often that I put in those squirt bottles. All right. Now, I'm going to clean my hands a little bit. Okay, I'm going to sprinkle this thing liberally, and I do mean liberally, with some sea salt. Oops. And there we go. Get this other side. And some freshly ground black pepper. That's about it. You can jazz it up a little bit with some garlic salt or garlic powder or whatever turns you on. There's a recipe my son does that includes a rub of porcini mushroom powder, which really kicks up the flavor, I guess. But I thought, because this thing has been dry aging for a week, I thought it would be just a little bit overpowering to add that porcini mushroom powder. So maybe a roast right from the store would probably be good for that, but I think a dry aged one would probably be a little bit too much. Okay, now I'm going to take a little bit of butcher twine and tie this guy in a couple spots. Let's see, you going to cooperate? Yeah. 1, 2, 3. Oops. Tie it up. This will keep the muscle groups from separating as it cooks. Make it a lot more attractive appearance. Okay, you're going to go here. Come on. 1, 2, 3. Kind of lock it. And then another knot. Trim that off a little bit. And let's just let this guy sit for about an hour or so to let some of that salt get a little deeper into the meat, and we'll come back to it later. Alrighty. The roast has been resting now for about an hour or so, and I think we're ready to start the actual cooking process. So I've heated the oven up to a whopping 200 degrees, and I've heated up a little bit of oil in a pan on the stove at about a medium-high heat, and we're going to sear this guy on all 3, 4, whatever sides. All right. So I think my oil is just about hot enough. Let me see here. It's kind of shimmering, and off we go. There's that happy making sizzling sound. We'll cook it for about 2 to 3 minutes on each side, just to get that nice brown look to it. And this is going to kind of surprise you. I'm just going to leave it in this pan and stick it right in the oven, rather than set it back on a roasting pan on a rack or anything like that, because the way I see it, the bones kind of act as their own natural roasting rack, right? I'm going to go ahead and turn this over, and I can use my hands because 1, they're clean, and 2, this part of the roast is still cold, so I don't have to use my tongs quite yet. There, look at that. Beautiful, huh? More happy making sounds Well, I've seared this roast on all 4 sides, I guess, and it's time to put it in the oven. So I've got it bone side down, and here we go. All right, lowest rack of the oven, 200 degrees. I'm going to leave it in there for about half an hour per pound. So I'm going to start temping it at about 2 hours from now. Oh boy, looking good, huh? Let's take a temperature. See where we're at. Perfect. 120 degrees. That's where I like it. If you like it medium rare, probably take it out at about 130. But I like it rare. That's just the way I roll. So I'm going to take this roast out of this pan, stick it in this pan, tent it with, anyway, I'm trying. Tent it with some aluminum foil and let it rest for, about 20 to 30 minutes. That'll give me time to make my sides. Okay, the roast has been resting for about a half an hour now. And let's go ahead and carve into it and see what we can find. Looks great, doesn't it? I'm going to go ahead and cut off the twine. And then I'm going to go ahead and carve this off the bone. Relocate the bone to a different spot. And now let's see what we got here. Oh boy, and look at that. Look at that. Isn't that wonderful? Okay, I'm going to go ahead and take this nice juicy end piece, set it on my plate, get my sides, and dig in. Alrighty, so there it is. Very nice dry aged prime rib with a nice Cabernet Clos du Bois, as recommended by my sommelier. A little bit of mashed potatoes and asparagus. You're probably wondering where the Alaska component of this dish is, since I advertise that that's what I do, right? Well, the potatoes, as I stated earlier in the program, are Alaska grown. So that's how I get around that little detail. Alrighty, I'm going to dig in here in a second and let you know how it goes. Okay, well, let's dig into this roast beast and see how it is. Wow. Very tender. Full of beefy flavor. And just to die for. Wish you were here. You can obviously use your favorite condiment. Either a little bit of horseradish or whatever floats your boat. Personally, I'm kind of a soy sauce guy. Growing up in Hawaii, this is like our staple. It's like ketchup for Hawaiians. So that's all I need. Anyway, thanks for joining me again. Great time doing the show. I'll see you around.